Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/slash Tales from Tech Support. In today's episode, I'm not a computer person. The I in VoIP stands for Internet. I think my mom would have liked that. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. I'm not a computer person. Been in support and a sysadmin for over 20 years now, and I have seen a ton. Here is one of my favorites. I was giving a phishing presentation for about 100 of our sales reps at their national sales meeting about 15 years ago, when phishing was new. I had a short slideshow with phishing email examples and what to look for highlighted and things of that nature. At one point I displayed a fake email that looked to be from Washington Mutual, asking the recipient to click this link to fix their account because there was a problem. I talked about this email, why it was fake, how a financial institution will never send you a link to click, etc. When a lone sales rep pipes up. Rep, I got that exact email. Me, oh, what did you do? Did you click the link? Rep, yeah. Me, oh no, what information did you enter? If you entered your back login, then you'll need to change your password right away. Rep, oh, I just entered our credentials and clicked login, but I got an error. Me, phew, well, luckily, that info is not used anywhere else except our internal system. Tell me, why did you enter that info? Rep, I didn't know what else to enter, I don't have a Washington Mutual account. Me, wait, you don't have a WAMU account. Then why did you even click the link, let alone enter some random info that doesn't mean anything anywhere else except to our internal systems? At this point, you can hear the rest of the room murmuring. Rep, I thought it had something to do with our Bank of America credit card. Me, you thought an email from WAMU had to do with a Bank of America account? Now the murmuring got louder, and you can hear snickering. Rep, I am not a computer person. Me, that's not a computer thing. Rest of the room starts laughing. I thought I was going to get fired, or at least reprimanded for making a user feel stupid, but apparently even his manager was laughing. He didn't last 2 months after that, he was let go for poor sales performance. My mother is almost 70 years old. She has never been a computer person. And yet somehow she manages to not completely lose her ability to read and think critically whenever the computer does something unexpected. She reads error messages and does what they say. If she calls for help, she can tell you what she did. She doesn't click at random on stuff when she gets confused. I feel like I somehow won the lottery every time I read about these people who couldn't tie their shoes if they had to do it in a room with a computer in it because they are not a computer person. Thanks for being a good user, Mom. Rep, I am not a computer person. Me, that's not a computer thing. I feel this one in my bones. Many moons ago, we were all gathered around a PC, while our supervisor read out a printed memo explaining not to open emails with I love you in the subject line, as it was a virus, and surprisingly not a real declaration. For the younger crowd, opening it would send the email to everyone in your address book, and infect them. As she finished, the PC made a ding noise. She exclaimed, "Oh look, there's one now," and opened it. You made me facepalm with that one, good job. This is an amazing story. The lack of self-awareness is astonishing. Change my view. If you can't demonstrate basic computer proficiency and security within 30 days of starting a new job, you should be fired. Same goes for when your security team discovers a new hacking attempt of which corporate employees need to be aware. If it's someone new, then basic computer skills should definitely be a job requirement in any office environment. I just don't know how someone could be an effective employee otherwise. If your job doesn't involve busting your hands up, there's just no excuse. Work in a hospital call center, and I 100% agree. I have probably spent dozens of hours trying to get people to type in the URL bar instead of Google/Bing search for employee remote access, and I want to scream every single time. Or listen to people complaining about dual authentication being too complicated. It's just a button on your phone, for Pete's sake. My gran once called me asking if it was a phishing email with a screenshot of it, and it wasn't, but it had so many hallmarks of being one. At least she tried to apply sense to it and was cautious. The problem with people feeling stupid for making mistakes like that is that next time they won't report it. And you absolutely want to encourage them to report any possible breach or security slip-up without repercussion. I guarantee you that a room full of people laughing at him just trained him to keep his mouth shut next time. On one hand, yes, blameless culture is absolutely necessary. It helps smart people admit to their stupid mistakes. On the other hand, there is a point where there is no distinction with someone's stupid and regular mistakes. All of their mistake is by definition stupid. You can't fix that. I'm not a computer person, or I've never been good with technology, are the universal excuses for users to justify technical laziness. I usually use "I'm not good with technology" to get out of conversations I don't want to be in. Why aren't you in the Facebook group chat? I'm not great with technology, I don't want to. Why does your computer/phone never remember logins? I'm not great with technology, cookie auto-delete dove. Why don't you plot these charts in Excel? I'm not great with technology, R is more intuitive to use. When I was active duty, I was told to give a brief over phishing cause apparently some people fell for honeypot email in our battalion. I introduced myself as Prince Hazim Omar of the Nigerian National Bank. I had the same email that was sent out with a PowerPoint from the website the link took you to. Keep in mind I was in uniform with a name tag that clearly said my actual name, and that I'm as aggressively white and nerdy as they come. Towards the end of my investment opportunity speech, I stopped and asked if anyone actually believed me. Then I loudly asked why 16 fell for this over email. I got probably 9 of those 16 that came to my office to yell at me over them falling for an obviously fake email. I have had this exact conversation with the VP of Marketing and my mother. The I in VoIP stands for Internet. Happened to me today. In 2021, I work for a VoIP telecom company in a Tier 3 group whose primary customers are small and medium-sized businesses. We work tickets that should have been vetted and troubleshooting has already been performed. We do not take inbound calls from customers unless we reach out to them on an active ticket and gave our direct callback number. Around 3:30 p.m. today, my phone started ringing. It's common to get spam calls and I hadn't left any messages, so I ignored it. Then the number called again. And a third time. By the fourth call I finally picked up. Me, thank you for calling VoIP. This is Nikago, how can I help you? Caller, hi Nikago. I'm with Random Customer Company, and we are hard down. My boss told me to call you because if anyone could get us working, it's you, Nikago. Me, super confused, that's not how this normally works. Do you have a ticket or case number for reference? Caller, no we don't, but here's our account number. While she's on the phone searching my systems trying to figure out who they are, and how they got my direct unpublished number, I find nothing but figure I must have worked on a previous issue, and they saved my number. Me, okay, so my group doesn't take direct customer calls for issues. You'll need to create a case at our website voipcom.com, and one of our agents will open a ticket with my group if they are unable to get you working. Caller, no I can't do that. I have no access. Me, well there's a chatbot to assist you as well. Caller, no, I can't get to the website at all. Me, wait, you have no access at all? You can't get to any website? voipcom.com? Google? Facebook? Caller, nope, it's all down. Me, okay, now this is starting to make sense. Your phone service with us requires internet access. If your internet is down, then it makes sense your phones are hard down. This is either your network equipment or it's your ISP. You'll probably need to reach out to your ISP. Until then, your phones aren't going to work. Caller, slightly disappointed I can't fix it. Oh, okay. Thank you. After she hung up, I sat at my desk for a few minutes just flabbergasted. Yes, your VoIP phone service does require internet to work. I have had so many people question me when their VPN isn't working while traveling. Yes, you have to connect to the internet first, then the VPN. But I don't have to at home. That is probably because your laptop does it automatically when you are home. COVID has taught me how woefully ignorant of technology most of the workforce is. I had someone call for help with their laptop. I wasn't able to connect. It's in my trunk. I'm driving right now. Call back when you get somewhere. Oh, okay. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, and most of the workforce does not understand magic. To be fair to your caller, I provide design, development, and escalated technical support for an inpatient telehealth provider. I have literally seen tickets come in from Level 1 support where they specify all devices at location X dropped at the same time. Attempted to call all known phone numbers and all calls answer with dead air. Attempted to IM known night shift users with no reply. Need Level 2 support to determine the problem with this site. To quote Jimmy Buffett, if we couldn't laugh, we would all go insane. 3 months ago, I would have been that L1. 3 months after? I'm probably L1.5. Had our Level 1 team forward a ticket to us which literally included a prompt that said all of these tickets should be handled by help desk company. It's not obvious for corporate people to know what VoIP means, or if their telephone service is VoIP at all. It's not obvious for most people that grew up with POTS phones to know that modern phone systems work on the internet. For a lot of them, it's the internet that relied on the POTS system. Yup, non-tech folks have no clue how stuff works. They couldn't tell you if they had landline versus VoIP versus SATCOM. They just know when you dial a number, another person picks up the phone on the other end. Couldn't they be VoIPing within their own network only, and not need external connectivity? If so, they wouldn't need internet. Depends. If they have a local VoIP PBX, then they still would be able to call local extensions, phones on the same LAN as the PBX. If they have a cloud PBX, then nope. All phones are dead. 100% how the uni I used to work at was set up. Cisco VoIP cluster, VoIP phones in all locations, and network connectivity to an upstream provider. But we also had IIRC60 copper lines connected back to 2 different POTS providers, which calls would route out over if internet was down. Reminds me of the client I used to have who would email us when their internet was down. On repeated occasions. Reminds me of a very local ISP my company used to have in the days before smartphones or tethering. Tried calling their listed number when the circuit went down, was answered with a recorded "We don't take problem reports on this line, go to www.rurl.com to report a problem." Even if I could have found a way onto the internet, they still probably would have hidden the contact as 26 screens back. Had a Level 1 tech back in the day, 20 years ago, who decided that the quickest way to notify our entire Colorado region that their email was down was by emailing them. Sounds like they mixed up VoIP and ISP, or just didn't know there was a difference. My guess is that the caller just saw a blue-gray phone box on their desk, and it either A, doesn't ring, B, shows an angry message on the screen about registration failures, or C, when an outbound call is placed, is greeted by a calm robotic voice informing them that the call cannot be placed as all available outbound lines are unavailable / in use. They probably have a backup procedure for doing work on pen and paper in the event of an internet crash, but said procedure is out of date and assumes an analog phone system or a non-VoIP digital trunk that operates separately from the internet. Callers' procedure should be updated to have been to their own IT staff first to diagnose and resolve the core issue before calling a vendor. I'm sitting here like what? No, it doesn't, it's VoIP, the I stands for IP. I need another coffee. IP stands for intermittent problems. This is why you only use VoIP internally and use analog phone lines for all external lines. Then, the worst thing that happens when you lose internet is you lose the VoIP connection to other buildings, but you can still call them at least. I work in a call center, and we use VoIP, which helped when COVID came, and we switched to work from home, as it meant all we needed was the laptop we already had in order to take calls at home and a connection to Work's VPN. Yeah, I wouldn't automatically assume a client understood VoIP and TCP/IP well enough to get it. I think my mom would have liked that. Keeping this simple and short. Customer brought in a totally ancient beige box asking for some help about how the computer would boot to a blinking cursor and hang there. Turns out that said beige box was running on MS-DOS and his blinking cursor problem was DOS finishing the boot process and idling at C. This fellow had apparently bought over an SME and was going through their assets to see which could be reused or liquidated. Sent him back without any charges since there was nothing to fix. Though we wondered what kind of business would still have a working DOS box lying around in 2021. And I was very tempted to ask him to give it to me, if only because my mom used to do accounting and word processing on DOS in the early 1990s. It would have made a nice gift for her, or not. It belongs in a museum. We have top men working on it. I love the Computer History Museum in San Jose. I would love to have it. I have the Descent series on CD. Oh, Descent was fun. Getting a CD drive working with DOS wasn't a ton of fun if anything went wrong. Frigging IRQs. Until about 4 years ago, my business still had our accounting on a DOS box and used a dot matrix for reports. We ran out of usable 5 and a quarter floppies and were forced to upgrade to a version that wasn't guaranteed to work past Windows 7. We were told that we would have to switch over to a different software if we wanted to upgrade further. With a Linux operating system, there are a variety of good DOS emulators, with DOSBox being the most famous. You could keep running the software and even print to a modern printer that way. I had the manager of a mid-size business where I was IT bring me a box of 5 and a quarter floppies that someone had found when cleaning up a disused office. Since there was no idea what was on the disk, he asked me to get the data off the disk. It took a while to find a computer that still had IDE connectors. I was able to locate a drive at one of the other offices. The IT guy at that office had one from a computer at home. I was able to get data off of most of the disks. Put it all on a USB stick, as well as on the network share, and handed it over. No idea what the data was, I didn't want to get involved at that, but the manager seemed happy. Floppy drives don't use IDE connectors, interfaces nor cables. My daughter works as the student coordinator for a small technical college, and was telling me recently how hard it was to determine the status of the students' tuition loans, which they receive from the provincial government here in Canada, would be the state government in the USA. Stopped by the college to give her something, and she showed me their student loan app. It was running on a colorized version of DOS. In 2021. I asked why the college would still be using DOS and was absolutely floored when she told me that it wasn't the college's system, it was the provincial government's spreadsheet app. Though we wondered what kind of business would still have a working DOS box lying around in 2021. Anywhere with lab equipment, a CNC setup, or anything along those lines could have an old device requiring DOS. Almost as common are old stockbroker or accounting firms which haven't completely stopped having a need for DOS to access archival records. A lot of those DOS applications would not properly export their data. I'm puzzled why any DOS use case that doesn't need super tight timing or access to esoteric peripherals hasn't been virtualized by now. Seen a lot of fail from folks using MBR naively or modern arrays /flash/4K sector drives. Yay for unaligned partitions, excessive read/modify/write, low IOPs, rapidly wearing flash devices. You can still run DOS on a Windows machine if you really want to. I don't know if you can install a word processor or anything though. I am old and remember commands, so once in a while I play with it to see if it still works. I prefer the Windows GUI though, as well as features like spellcheck and document set margins. I remember setting margins in a dot matrix printer and hoping my documents would print properly. Now I have numbers like 8088 and 286 rattling around my head. V20. NEC's functional clone of the 80188, in a package pin compatible with the 8088. How about 8250 UART? Smiley face. My mom wouldn't have had any computer issues because she was completely computer illiterate despite my best efforts. But today is the anniversary of her passing, so this post hit me hard. People, call your moms. Reminds me of how I first gave Linux a try, over 15 years ago. People now might be familiar with Ubuntu, that has a nice graphic installer that gives you a properly configured OS with a desktop environment. There was no Ubuntu at the time, but there were other distros offering a similar experience, like SUSE or Red Hat. But my friend told me to get Gentoo, since that was the best one, i.e. his distro of choice. Gentoo did not have an installer. It has a very detailed step-by-step instruction on how to install it manually from a boot CD. I hadn't the slightest idea of Linux at the time, but I can follow instructions, so that's what I did. And at the end of the instruction manual I got a blinking prompt. Thinking that I messed something up, I call my friend, asking where the hell is my operating system. He says, "You mean the desktop? You already got the OS, now you have to install everything else, including the desktop environment." I believe that was about the end of my first Linux experiment. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.